Here we're going to talk about how to sketch an exponential function. So the way we start is we first look at our equation. We remember that the standard form is y is equal to a dot b to the power x plus q. So in this form there's no a and there's no q, but we can assume there's a plus 0. Basically the q value is 0, so it's not there. The b value is 5. Now let's start by drawing our Cartesian plane. So here's a Cartesian plane over here. We're then going to go ahead and take we're gonna draw our asymptote. So this would have been our asymptote. It's basically going to be on our x-axis. So maybe we can just put a sort of dotted line here. So we know that this is the x-axis, but we also know that this is the asymptote y is equal to 0. And that's the y-axis. Now from our b value, now what does our b value tell us? Remember, if that b value is greater than if it's greater than 1, it's an increasing. If it's less than 1 and greater than 0, it's a decreasing. So in this case it's greater than 1. 5 is greater than 1. 5 is a bigger number than 1, so we've got an increasing exponential graph. So something like this here. All right, something like that. That's fine. Now we would need to show a couple of points on this graph just to make sure it's all right. So one of the things you can find or should find is the y-intercept and maybe just one more point. So for the y-intercept, let x equal to 0. So y is equal to 5 to the power 0. So that's gonna be y is equal to 1. So it's gonna be 0 and 1. So this is gonna be at a coordinate of 1. Now let's find one more point. Let's x equal to 1, for example. So y is equal to 5 to the power x. Y is equal to 5 to the power 1, so y is equal to 5. So our coordinate is 1 and 5. So this could have been 1 and 5. Alright, so now we got a y-intercept, one other coordinate, and our asymptote. That should be good to go. Obviously, if you give a little more information just in case, it's a bit better than giving a little less information. Alright, now for the next one, this is a similar one. Again, we've got a plus 0, so not much is gonna change. Okay, so that's fine. That means our asymptote is going to be over here, y is equal to 0. Now because this here 1 over 4 is between 1 and 0, it's going to be a decreasing function. So let's draw a decreasing function over there. Right, now that we have a decreasing function, we'll need a couple of points. Obviously if you put 0 here, it will become 1 again, so this is going to be a 1. You can even put another point here. I would like to put x is negative 2. You can put any point you want. I just realized that this is going to give me a nice option, a nice answer, I guess. All right, so 1 over 4 to the power negative 2. No, okay, I'm sorry, that's going to still give me a bad option, but it doesn't matter. It's all right. So let's have a look at how this is going to change. If you have a negative exponent, well, you can just distribute it for now, I guess, or you can make that exponent positive by flipping the entire fraction. So that'll equal to 4 over 1 squared, and that's just 4 squared, which is 16. So you'll have negative 2 and 16, and that will be our coordinate, and that's done. So it doesn't have to take you long. You just gotta go ahead and try it out. Now this is a positive, so it's not going to reflect the graph. It's just going to stretch it a little bit, but it won't really matter much right now. We still have a plus 0 here. So drawing that over there, we can go ahead and use this to figure out that my asymptote goes over here. So y is equal to 0. My shape, well, that's bigger than 1, so that means it's an increasing shape. So I need to draw an increasing exponential graph. I'll need my y-intercept. So y is equal to 2 times 3 to the power 0. So y is equal to 2 times 1. So it's 2. So my y-intercept is going to be 2 in this case. Now let's just get another point. So let's say it's x equals to 1. So y is equal to 2 times 3 to the power 1. So that's going to be 6. So it could be 1 and 6. Okay, that's done. Let's keep it going, guys. All right, let's keep it going. So yeah, again we've got a plus 0. So my asymptote hasn't changed. I've still got an x-intercept, an x-axis or y-axis. I can go ahead and draw my asymptote here, which is y is equal to 0. Now this tells me my shape is a decreasing shape, so my graph would have looked like this, right? It would have looked like that, but the problem is that this is a negative value, so this needs to reflect. So I don't want that green graph is gonna be wrong. It needs to be like that. It's a reflection of that green graph, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that. That's the wrong one. Simply because it needs to be a reflection of that decreasing graph. Then we'll say y-intercept x is equal to 0. So y equals to negative 2 into 1 over 3 to the power 0. So negative 2 into 1, which is negative 2. So my coordinate is 0 and negative 2. So that's negative 2. I can then go ahead and maybe put one more point. So let's x equal to 1. 1. No. Alright, 1 is fine, I guess. Alright, so y is equal to negative 2 into 1 over 3 to the power 1. So it's negative 2 over 3. So my coordinate is 1 and negative 2 over 3. Now that will obviously be somewhere here. So 1 and negative 2 over 3. And those are my two coordinates. Alright, for this one, okay, now we've got an asymptote that's been moved. So that asymptote should be at 1. So there we go. Y is equal to 1. This tells me I've got a decreasing graph. It's a fraction, so I've got something like that. I need my intercept, so a half to the power 0 plus 1 is equal to 1 plus 1, which is 2. So this is going to be 2. Now let's just get one more coordinate. If you let x equals to 1, you can say 1 over 2 to the power 1 plus 1. So that's going to be 3 over 2. So if I get so if I get this here, 3 over 2 should be well, that's basically 1.5, so it's less than 2, so it should be 1 and 3 over 2. That's fine. All right, next one. This now, do you remember in our notes at the beginning, on the introduction, we said this is basically -1 times that. So this is our b and this is our a, right? This is our q, our asymptote. So asymptote in this case is -2. So y is equal to -2. Now our b value says it's going to be an increasing graph, so we would have been like that. But now because of this negative at the front, it needs to reflect, so it's going to go over there. All right, so maybe over there. I can then go ahead and delete this, delete that, and then say that my y-intercept I need, and let's say we do a coordinate for x of 1. So for the y-intercept, -1, 3 to the power 0, -2. So y is equal to that. -1 times 1 is going to be -1 -2. So your intercept is going to be a -3. For my x equals to 1, y is equal to -1 times 3 to the power 1 -2. So -3 -2 is -5. So it's -5. Match. So we've got asymptotes and 2 points. Let's carry on. All right, so I think there's just till 8. Yeah, just till 8. So we're almost there, guys. At this point you should be masters of this. Please pause the video, practice. You don't want to waste The opportunity is really easy stuff, really fun stuff. Don't worry about being too scared and stuff. We're not really worried about all of that now. But this should be a bit longer. Okay, that's fine, I guess. Right, so minus 6. So here's our asymptote at y is equal to negative 6. This tells me it's increasing, so let's do an increasing. Alright, now, okay, yeah, actually let's leave it like that. Alright, okay, just let's leave it like that. Alright, now we need a couple of points. We need this point, and what happens here that hasn't happened before, if you've looked at all your graphs, none of them have had an x-intercept. So look at this, no x-intercept, no x-intercept, no x-intercept. Okay, so none of them have had it, but this one seems to have an x-intercept, so we're gonna need to find that. We don't need some other point, we need to find the x-intercept. So let's start with y-intercept. X equals to 0, so y equals to 3 times 2 to the power 0 minus 6. Alright, so y is equal to 3 times 1 minus 6, which is equal to 3 minus 6. So y is equal to minus 3. Alright, so that's gonna be my y-intercept. Let me just check if I did that correct. 0 1 1 3 3 minus 6. Yeah, so that should be fine. Alright, now for my x-intercept, I need y equals to 0. So this one you gotta be a bit careful with, because obviously you're trying to solve an exponential equation. But let's have a look here. So the 6 moves across. 6 is equal to 3.2 to the power x. You can divide both sides by 3 in this exponential equation. So 2 to the power x is equal to 2. And there's a 1 here. So x is equal to 1. You drop the bases, equate the exponent. So this is a 1. Now that ended up being a nice answer. Okay, so that's awesome. Alright, so we're done there. Let's move on. Now, for this one, let's start asymptote. Alright. So, yeah, this tells us that we need a red line over here that says y is equal to 8. This tells me that I would have had a decreasing graph over there. But, okay, so let's pretend that that's an exponential graph. This tells me that I need to reflect that graph. So I should have something like this. Alright. And then I need to go ahead and delete this because that's wrong. Okay. I then need to find this point and this point. So y-intercept x equals 0. Y equals minus 2 into a half to the power 0 plus 8. So that's going to equal to negative 2 into 1 plus 8. So that's negative 2 plus 8, which is just 6. So my y-intercept should be at 6. Alright. Okay, that's fine. That's awesome. For my x-intercept now, let's do this color. So x-intercept y equals to 0. So 0 equals to negative 2 into a half to the power x plus 8. Let's move the 8 across. We got negative 8 equals to negative 2 into a half to the power x. Divide both sides by negative 2. So a half to the power a half to the power x equals to 4. We need to write both in as the same base to solve this equation. So this becomes 2 squared. This becomes 2 to the negative x. If you want to know how, a half x, so the 2 has a 1, so it can be written as 2 to the negative 1. Using the sixth law, we bring it up to the top, laws of exponents, and then you multiply the exponents, which is negative 1 times x, so it's 2 to the negative x, and that equals to that. So then you drop the bases, and 2 is equal to negative x, therefore x is equal to negative 2. So this is negative 2. So my diagram was actually pretty solid, except for this. This should have been a bit higher, I guess. Should have been something like that. something like that maybe. All right, but that's all right, so as long as the idea more or less is that. If there's any questions about what I did, if I've gone too fast, if there's anything that doesn't make sense, let me know. Like and subscribe, drop a comment if there's anything you want me to change.